What's up everyone, I'm CallumOnToast, and in today's video I figured since we've got the Unova tour just around the corner, I'd run the 3 legendary trios in this region with the TAO trio, the Swords of Justice, and the Forces of Nature. Now originally I was hoping to showcase some of these Pokemon in the Open Great League since most of them will now be available from research for the first time ever this week, but apparently all of those encounters are actually at level 20 instead of the typical level 15 encounters that you get from research, so that really sucks, and unfortunately it means the Forces of Nature and the Swords of Justice will no longer be Great League eligible. So of course, since that's no longer an option, I'm going to be running each trio in the Open Ultra League. So with that being said, let's get into the question of the day. Which region do you think has the best legendary Pokemon? Let me know in the comment section down below, and with that being said, let's get into the battles now. Alright, so go into the first battle, leading Reshiram into Poliwrath. Now, unfortunately, I am on Fire Fang, and I've got Stone Edge for coverage, so we are completely walled in this matchup. However, I do not want to swap out just because I've got Kyurem in the bag, which does, of course, take super effective damage from counter. So we go for a Fusion Flare, we actually grab a shield, they go for an Icy Wind. Now I'm going to swap into my Zekrom, but unfortunately, they are actually going to be able to outpace me to that next charge move, as it does take one less counter to reach the next Icy Wind. We're going to use the shield there as it hits for super effective damage, and the opponent's going to swap into Giratina. So I'm going straight for Crunch here. We are debuffed. However, Crunch is going to grab a shield and drop their defense, and that is really ideal for me. Now we go for another Crunch here. All shields are down. Crunch does some decent damage there, and the opponent is forced to throw a charge move. Now I do believe they overfarmed by 1 Shadow Claw, so we're going to come in with the Kyurem. We're going to swap after 3 Shadow Claws from the Giratina, able to catch the Dragon Claw onto my Reshiram, come back in with the Poliwrath, and we try to commit to a farm down, but we're just barely not able to do so. Icy Wind would hit for neutral damage. It wouldn't quite take us out from that range, but kind of need to shield at that point. We're going to wait and see what they come in with, and the opponent is going to come in with the Giratina just to be farmed down, but they've got Ampharos in the back now. Unfortunately, we are debuffed. I cannot just go straight for Draco Meteor. We have to go for a Glaciate first, and unfortunately, we're just barely not able to reach the charge move. Brutal Swing, because their debuff does not get the KO. We live with 1 HP and a Dream, and Draco Meteor easily gets the KO from that range, able to take up the Ampharos, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's up on there into the next battle. We see Steelix in the lead, and unfortunately, they're not on the buffed Thunder Fang. They are on Dragon Tail, which means this is not ideal for me. However, I am on Fire Fang, so of course, typically with Dragon Breath, this would be an awful matchup. With Fire Fang, it's reasonably neutral. Still not that great of a matchup because Steelix is just so much more bulky, but I'm going to swap, catch the next charge move onto my Kyurem. The opponent goes for another Breaking Swipe there. They are able to debuff my attack this time around, which is definitely not ideal, but then they swap, they catch a move onto Greninja, which is an interesting play. Unfortunately, they catch a Glaciate, which is of course resisted. However, at this point, I'm going to let the Kyurem go down. The opponent going to go for Night Slash. Night Slash gets the KO. They don't get any boost, so we're going to come in with the Zekrom. And at this point, I can't really afford to shield this, so Zekrom is going to tank a Hydro Cannon. Hydro Cannon does do slightly more damage than a Night Slash, even though it is resisted. And again, I'm going to no shield this. They go for another Night Slash there. We get the Dragon Breath farm down, and let's see what the opponent wants to do. They actually come in with the Venusaur, so I'm going to fire off a Crunch here. We have farmed up quite a lot of energy though, so Crunch is going to grab the final shield here. We swap into Reshiram, and if I can shield and fully farm them down, I could be able to win this game, but unfortunately they debuff the attack. We get the farm down. We have the Fusion Flare, but is this enough with that debuff to get the KO? No, it barely doesn't, but we're able to snipe with the Dragon Breath damage with that Zekrom. I believe they just had the energy for a Frenzy Plant, but not able to get it off, and we're able to take that game. So, GG's up, and there into the next battle, we see a Feraligatr in the lead. Gonna say swap into Kyurem, and we're met with a Excadrill here. I forgot what it was called for a second there because I've not seen it for a while. We are going to shield this, and because I've debuffed their attack, they're no longer be able to fully Mudslap farm me down, so we can go for a second Glaciate. Honestly, they're probably going to double shield. They do double shield, but you can see these Mudslaps not really doing too much damage anymore. So at this point, we're going to let the Kyurem go down. Duron gets the KO. I can come in with their Reshiram, and they clear the debuff. They swap back into Feraligatr. I'm going to tank the move there as they go for a Hydro Cannon, swap into my Zekrom, and unfortunately, these Dragon Breaths just aren't chunking as much as I thought they would. They also just fire off another Hydro Cannon, which is okay with me, but at this point I don't know if I do want to commit to another shield and then go for a full farm down, so instead we fire off the Crunch here, realizing they're going to come back in with the Excadrill just to Mudslap farm me down, but we can also get the snipe with their Reshiram, and they've got a Counter Machamp in the back. Now I had to throw here. Is Fusion Fire enough to take them out? No, unfortunately it's not, and we do end up losing that game. But GG's over there. Also, I realized, I think I said Fusion Fire there. It is Fusion Flare. But anyways, we're going to see the next battle, and we are going to say swap, or sorry, the opponent's going to say swap into a Shadow Swampert. We are going to respond with the Kyurem, but we took ages to swap out there. I don't know why my switch just wasn't registering. It kept on just not allowing me to switch, so it took me quite a while to swap out there. So I had to shield the Earthquake. However, I am able to reach back-to-back Glaciates just before the opponent reaches another Earthquake. They come back in with the Ampharos, and it doesn't really matter what they throw here, unless they go for Dragon Pulse or like a Focus Blast. I should be fine. I guess Power Gem as well, actually. But either way, they don't throw that. Instead, they go for Brutal Swing. We can go for Glaciate, debuff their attack. They come in with Giratina. I realized they would just be able to fully Shadow Claw farm me down, so we swap into our Zekrom. Now, I'm hoping I can reach a charge move before the next Dragon Claw, but just barely not able to do so. Either way, Dragon Claw will not be enough damage to get the KO, but still not really ideal for me. And as well, it looks like they can commit to a full Shadow Claw farm down if they use their final shield, which they do. They come out with a ton of loaded energy. At this point, we are going to come in with the Kyurem. I tried to force them to throw, however, they don't. They instead swap into Ampharos, so I'm able to bank the energy or the health on the Kyurem there, get the Fire Fang farm down. They are forced to throw a charge move. They can't get too low, but it doesn't matter. Dragon Claw takes us out, but 2 Dragon Breaths takes out the Giratina, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's up on there. Into next battle, we see a Togekiss in the lead. So this is, I guess, technically where we want to see it. Even though we've got 2 Pokemon that would have super effective damage in the back, we are at least taking neutral damage here from the Charms. However, I'm actually not going to reach 2 charge moves here. So once I realize that, we're going to swap into our Kyurem, and we can at least go for a Glaciate and debuff their attack. However, this is just really not ideal for us. They go for Ancient Power. They don't get a boost, which is great, but still not amazing for me, as we are now going to go for the Glaciate, debuff their attack there. They still take 2 charms to take us out, and at this point I think I'm just going to come in with a Zekrom, shield once, or possibly actually not even shield here. They might go for an Aerial Ace for all I know, so I'm going to no shield this. It is the Ancient Power, it doesn't do too much damage, and we can commit to a Dragon Breath farm down. Then they come in with a Giratina. We are going to throw a Crunch just before they reach that next charge move, so Crunch, not going to do too much damage here, but we are going to see that if I shield this, I'm hoping I can fully Dragon Breath farm them down. It's going to be close, but I'm not able to do so, so I swap into Reshiram, and hopefully there is something in the back we can one-shot with the Zekrom, but unfortunately that's not the case, as it's Cresselia. Cresselia easily tanks 2 crunches there, so I didn't even bother throwing a charge move, and unfortunately we do lose that game. But GG's up on there. Into next battle, we see Poliwrath in the lead once again. So once again, really not ideal for us, as they are going to resist everything we can throw, but once again, Fusion Flare grabs a shield advantage. And at this point, I'm just going to let the Reshiram go down. The opponent is going to fire for an Icy Wind that actually doesn't take us out there. So instead, we swap into our Zekrom. I'm not sure if I should have done that. Maybe should have just let them farm me down there. But either way, the opponent's going to go for an Icy Wind here. I'm going to overfarm just a little bit, fire off the Fusion Bolt, and Fusion Bolt will be enough damage to get the KO from that range, even debuffed. And they come in with a Greninja. So what on earth is their final Pokemon? I should just barely be able to tank this. They go for the Hydro Cannon there, recognizing it's going to do slightly more damage, but still it doesn't take us out. Fusion Bolt does get the one-shot though, and they've got Typhlosion in the back. And even better for me, they don't actually farm up to a Blast Burn. Thunder Punch is resisted damage. It doesn't do much damage. I can go straight for Glacier, of course. I don't have Dragon Claw to bait, however, it doesn't really matter. I can now debuff their attack here. They're going to have to farm up to back-to-back charge moves or fully Incinerate farm me down. And unfortunately for them, they can do neither. Glacier doesn't quite get the KO, but one more Dragon Breath takes them out there, and I'm able to take that game. So going into the next battle, we can see a Rayquaza in the lead, so very cool to see. However, not ready for our Fire Fang Reshiram, so we're going to swap into Kyurem. Going to be forced to shield here as the opponent fires off a Breaking Swipe. Breaking Swipe is not going to get the debuff, but then they swap into Pyro, so a very spicy team on the opponent's end here. We are full sending Draco Meteor, and unfortunately they do actually shield, which is definitely not ideal for us, but we're going to come in with the Reshiram and well, of course, Dark Pulse is going to hit for neutral damage. However, if they go for like a Flame Charge or something that is double resisted, they go for the Flame Charge there. Absolutely fine with me. Gonna no shield once again. Probably will be the Dark Pulse this time, and you could argue that I probably should have shielded that. But either way, we come in with the Zekrom. We get the Dragon Breath farm down, and let's see the opponent comes back in with Rayquaza just to be farmed down. But they've got a Charm Primarina in the back, and this team, super spicy from the opponent until they came in with the Primarina, and suddenly I've lost all respect because I absolutely hate Charm, but GG's to that opponent there. Now we're going into the Force of Nature trio. We're going to lead with Landorus into a Rapidash. So this is a good matchup for us. However, of course, Mudshot did get an energy generation nerf a few seasons ago, which means unfortunately not as dominant as it should be for the Landorus. But either way, I'm going to debuff their attack there. The opponent fires off the Flame Charge, and just to guarantee I can throw before them, I'm going to throw immediately here after 4 Mudshots. So Sand Storm, going to grab the final shield. The opponent is going to swap Interceptor. We're barely able to hang on there, not going down to the Bullet Seed damage. We can come in with Tornadus, and I'm going to no shield as they go for a Breaking Swipe. Breaking Swipe, not able to debuff my attack there. I go straight for Bleak Windstorm, easily getting the KO there, and they come in with a Guzzlord. Now, of course, I'm running Focus Blast for coverage, so might as well commit my shield here and commit to a Focus Blast. So Dragon Claw, gonna be shielded. We're able to reach the Focus Blast in time. It hits for super effective damage, and it gets the one-shot up against the Guzzlord. I swap immediately into Thunderous. The opponent fires off the Charge Move. It's just a Flame Charge. We're able to tank that. Volt Switch gets the KO, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's up on there into next battle, see Landorus into a Clefable. So, not really ideal for us. Neutral matchup here, but unfortunately, they are just very bulky compared to us anyways. We go for a Sand Storm. Sand Storm, of course, going to debuff their attack. I'm able to swap out and catch the charge move. The opponent is going to go for a Swift Bait there, which is very nice for me because, of course, they're debuffed. It's non-stab. It doesn't do much damage. This time, they are going to full send the Moonblast. We're still just barely able to hang on here. I'm going to go for the Bleak Windstorm. I'm actually going to undercharge this, and I'm able to get off one more Astonish. Doesn't really help me out too much just because they come in with a Dragonite anyways, and Dragon Breath farm me down. But either way, we're going to come in with the Thunderous now. Still all shields in play here, so I'm definitely going to shield. The opponent throws immediately here, so actually they don't get off as many Dragon Breaths as maybe they should have done. But either way, going to go for the Wild Bolt Storm here, expecting to grab a shield from the opponent, and the opponent swaps into an Obstagoon. Now at this point, I'm going to bank that energy as I realize, of course, a Sand Storm not going to be very useful up against a Dragonite, and unfortunately the opponent gets the boost with the Night Sash. I might as well commit to a Stone Edge here, so Stone Edge is going to do more damage than the Sand Storm, but unfortunately the opponent with that boost, they still throw their energy here, but these counters, even though they're resisted, are going to put me into Dragon Breath farm down range, so we come out with back-to-back charge moves. However, it's just irrelevant at this point. Wild Bolt Storm will not be enough damage to get the KO here up against this Dragonite, and maybe 1 or 2 more Dragon Breaths will be enough damage to take out the Thunderous, and unfortunately we do lose that game. But GG's up in there into next battle. We see another Incinerate user in the lead. Actually, nope, never mind. They're on Shadow Claw. So at this point, either way, they definitely should not be going for a Thunder Punch. I guess they see the flying typing and think, oh, that's going to be good. But no, that is not the case. As of course, we are part ground, and ground double resist the electric typing. So we actually take a net resistance from that Thunder Punch. But either way, the opponent swaps into Giratina. I'm again going to undercharge this as I throw on the CMP Tide. This could be an Ancient Power, but at this point, they're already double debuffed. So Ancient Power doesn't do too much damage. However, they get the boost there. So, I mean, it would have been nice if I shielded. However, I'm still able to reach another charge move on the CMP Tide, get the KO there. They come back in with the Typhlosion, and I'm actually going to swap back into my Landorus, force the opponent to throw some energy. But also, I realize I do still have 2 shields. I might as well shield, and this time they full send the Blast Burn. They swap into a Swampert. We can go straight for Sand Storm. Sand Storm, of course, going to debuff their attack. It doesn't do much damage, but they do allow me to reach another Sand Storm. So at this point, they're going to be double debuffed. Of course, anything they throw will be enough damage to take out the Landorus from this point, but that's okay. It means that Thunderous will actually be able to tank a Hydro Cannon, and reasonably well as well. So we're going to, of course, no shield the first charge move. I will have to shield one of them anyways. So Hydro Cannon, number 1. The second one, you can see, even with that double debuff, will just barely KO. So we're going to shield that up there. They swap back into Typhlosion. All I have to do is farm up 2 back-to-back charge moves. The first one will be taking out Typhlosion, and Wild Bolt Storm, number 2, should be enough damage despite being resisted to take out the Swampert, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's up on there into next battle. We see Landorus into a Tapu Fini. So of course, not great for me. Gonna swap into my Tornadus, and it kind of looked like the opponent lagged there, but actually I don't think that was the case. Either way, we're going to go straight for Bleak Windstorm as the opponent comes in with a Shadow Charizard. I'm able to debuff their attack there, and of course Wing Attack no longer generating energy as quickly as it used to, which means Blast Burn is actually going to take a lot more energy to, a lot more time to get there, and as a result, I probably could have overfarmed slightly more than I did. However, we just get rid of them straight away. They're going to come back in with the Tapu Fini. I'm still able to reach a Bleak Windstorm. However, I'm thinking at this this point, I don't really want to allow them to fully farm me down. So we swap straight away into Thunderous. The opponent fires off the Nature's Madness there, debuffing my defense, and they come in with a Venusaur. So at this point, I'm just going to throw a Wild Bolt Storm on the CMP type with the Frenzy Plant. Wild Bolt Storm is going to be no shielded. It doesn't do much damage there, unfortunately, but they go for the Frenzy Plant straight away. At this point, I'm thinking maybe Tornadus could come in and reach a last second charge move before they farm me down, but that is a very risky play. So instead, we come in with the Landorus. No point throwing straight away just because they would actually just barely live a Sandsear Storm. Instead, we wait till the Tapu Fini comes in, but I'm going to undercharge this here, and that way I can get a few more mud shots in before I farm them down. But honestly, should have undercharged that a lot more than that. But either way, we come out with another Sandsear Storm. They should be able to outpace me to the next charge move. So I swap. I tried to catch the charge move onto Tornadus, but the opponent overfarms considerably. They go for Frenzy Plant. Frenzy Plant gets the KO there, and they overfarm by the perfect amount. We were one mud shot away, and unfortunately, Frenzy Plant takes out the Landorus, and we do end up losing that game. But GG's up in there into the next battle. We see a load of Ninetales in the lead. So obviously not great for us, but I stay in just to make sure that they weren't on Powder Snow. And if they're on Powder Snow, we're just instantly going to lose anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But we go for Stone Edge, and the opponent does not respect the damage. Now, unfortunately, that doesn't quite take them out there. So I'm going to use my shield, go for the Mud Shot farm down, and the opponent's going to come in with a Greninja. So at this point, we're going straight for Sandsear Storm, and then I will swap into my Tornadus. The opponent is going to no shield once again. We're going to come in with the Tornadus, and the opponent going to fire off a charge move. They are debuffed, so I no shield. It's just a Night Slash, and then they swap into Cresselia. So at this point, we are of course hitting for super effective damage with Astonish here. This is actually a pretty positive matchup for me, and as well, we're able to make it to a Bleakwind Storm before they do reach a Future Sight, which debuffs them. Future Sight does big damage, but I'm able to hang on. I'm able to reach another Bleakwind Storm, debuff them once again. The opponent no shields this time around, but we can come in with a Thunderous. Now, Greninja does have energy. I do have to be wary of that. So what I'm going to do is farm up two pretty much back-to-back Wild Bolt Storms here. I am just one away. If the opponent shields this, I will also respect the damage coming from Cresselia. And I realize after this charge move, they're probably instantly going to swap back into Greninja, so we commit to that Wild Bolt Storm as they swap into Greninja. Wild Bolt Storm gets the KO there, and even if they do reach a last second charge move, it doesn't really matter, but they actually don't get to charge move anyways. We're able to get the Volt Switch farm down, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's up on there into the next battle. We see Giratina in the lead, and they are on Dragon Breath. So, we're going to stay in this matchup here. Going to go straight for Sandsear Storm. You could argue that maybe if I expected the opponent to go straight for a Dragon Claw, I could have gone for an extra Mud Shot instead. And they did actually throw immediately there. So, maybe I could have done that. But either way, we are going to shield the first charge move here, as I can reach another charge move. But now I do it this time around, it doesn't really make sense to do it in that order. But either way, we are going to now full send a Stone Edge here. So I guess that does make sense. But either way, Stone Edge still doesn't quite get the KO there. They're able to Dragon Breath farm me down. So we use a shield and we still end up going down there. So definitely not ideal. And even worse, they've got a Registeel in the back. So Landorus would be a great answer to Registeel. However, the opponent might not know we're running Focus Bars. So we're going to shield. They don't get the debuff there. And we are absolutely full sending the Focus Bars. Focus Bars is no shielded. It barely doesn't take them out there. But they've got 1 HP and a Dream. And they swap into their final Pokemon, Virizion. Now, if they've got Stone Edge, full coverage, this is going to be a very tricky end game for us. And unfortunately, we're going to have to swap out here. So the opponent is on Stone Edge. Stone Edge does huge damage there. I'm going straight for Wild Bolt Storm here. I'm hoping to grab a shield. Wild Bolt Storm actually does grab that final shield. That is huge for me, but they get a massive farm down because they are now double debuffed. So the opponent fires off Stone Edge. We're able to hang on there. Can we reach the Bleakwind Storm? Barely not able to do so. And unfortunately, Sacred Sword gets the KO there. And we do end up losing that game. But GG's took over there into the last team for us. We've got the Swords of Justice. And speaking of Sacred Sword, we've got Terrakion in the lead, running Sacred Sword here. We're going to no-shield the first charge move. We are going to commit to a Rock Slide. And then I think eventually I will swap into my Cobalion. We go straight for Rock Slide. Rock Slide does connect. It doesn't do too much damage. But we swap into Cobalion and the opponent comes in with a Tapu Fini. Now, this isn't the worst matchup for us. Stone Edge, honestly, not going to hit that hard. But either way, 2 Stone Edges will hopefully put them into farm down range. I'm going to no shield as well. The opponent is going to go straight for a Surf, which does some decent damage, but we're able to hang on, and I can reach a Stone Edge, and if that doesn't quite get the KO, I can also fire off a Sacred Sword straight away. So that's exactly what we're going for here. Sacred Sword is going to be no shielded by the opponent. I'm going to swap straight away into Virizion, and they come in with a Shadow for Alligator. So of course, Virizion going to be very good up against that for Alligator, but unfortunately, I'm going to have to commit to a Stone Edge if I want to take out the Giratina. So at this point, you're going to no shield as they fire off a Dragon Claw. They've got a ton of energy though, so we go straight for Stone Edge. Stone Edge is going to be no shielded by the opponent. It doesn't get the KO, however, if that puts them into double kick farm down range before they reach another Dragon Claw, that's probably the best case scenario for us, and it does exactly that. That is absolutely huge for me. Now we can fire off a Leaf Blade after firing off one double kick. They should now be at a charge move, and they do throw immediately. So at this point, I'm going to shield. The opponent goes for the Hydro Cannon once again. We are going to go for a Leaf Blade after throwing after a double kick to make sure we throw in good timing. Leaf Blade grabs the final shield here, and they do just barely outpace me to that final charge move. So at this point, they take us out with the Hydro Cannon. We can come in with Terrakion, and we're going to swap, catch the charge move at the last second. Of course, Hydro Cannon, even if they fully undercharge it, would get the KO there, and I didn't really want to commit to a Rock Slide just in case they overfarmed, but Sacred Sword from this range is easily enough damage once it does finally connect with for Alligator to take out the opponent, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG top on there, into next battle, we see Hippowdon in the lead now. This is a very awkward matchup for us. Of course, Sand attacks hitting full super effective damage. They're not doing too much damage, but they are generating energy pretty quickly. I'm definitely going to shield as the opponent does full send a Scorching Sands. They don't get the debuff, which is very nice, and Virizion is going to completely shut down Hippowdon. However, unfortunately, I can't really swap into it unless I try to catch a charging, and it backfires as we're not able to make a catch. And the opponent also comes in with Goldengo, a Pokemon that completely walls this Virizion, resisting everything we can possibly throw. We go for Leaf Blades though. Leaf Blade, even resisted, do respectable damage here. And that's why I'm thinking, you know what, I kind of need to save my Virizion here. So what we're going to do is shield up the Shadow Ball, fire off a Leaf Blade just before they reach the next charge move, and then I will actually be able to swap out of this matchup. So we swap into Cobalion to catch the charge move here. The opponent, if they try to commit to a Focus Blast, I don't think they would have got there. So instead, they fire off the Shadow Ball, they come back in with Hippowdon, they throw on CMP, very good timing there. Scorching Sands takes us out, but we can come back in with Virizion, and I'm going to farm up two back-to-back Leaf Blades here. If the opponent allows me, they actually just go straight for a Weather Ball, and Weather Ball is resisted. We're able to tank that very comfortably. I farm up to back-to-back Leaf Blades. Honestly, could have even overfarmed more than that, but either way, Leaf Blade gets the KO. I'm going to swap straight away. We get the Smackdown farm down, but they've got a Primeape in the back, and unfortunately, it's not looking too good for us anymore. Sacred Sword is going to grab the final shield from the opponent, and the opponent is going to throw a charge move straight away. Now, unfortunately, Leaf Blade definitely not going to get the KO from this range. We're going to fire it off anyways, just to see how much damage it does, but Leaf Blade doesn't take them out. One more Karate Chop takes out Virizion, and unfortunately, we do lose that game. But GG top over there, into next battle, we see Scizor in the lead, so not great for Terrakion at all. So we say swap into our Virizion this time around, and we are going to see a Giratina. So we're going straight for Stone Edge. Stone Edge really not going to do much damage here, and of course, these double kicks are double resisted, so not a very good matchup for Virizion, but we are very bulky. We can tank two Dragon Claws very comfortably, so just going to no shield once again. They go for Dragon Claw there. We're going to fire for Stone Edge, and unfortunately, a second Stone Edge still won't put them into Leaf Blade range, so we're going to commit to another Stone Edge, and perfect timing by the opponent throwing just before we reach Stone Edge number 3. So Dragon Claw gets the KO there. We can come in with the Terrakion. I'm hoping I can no shield this and commit to a full Smackdown farm down. They go for Dragon Claw there, and we're able to get that farm down. I'm just going to throw straight away as we've already got a Sacred Sword loaded, and then I will swap into my Cobalion. Sacred Sword, no shielded, and we swap. We catch the charge move onto Cobalion, and it's just a nice slash. So the opponent then comes in with Feraligatr, and I realize at this point, I just have to shield the Hydro Cannons from Feraligatr, as I realize Cobalion is going to resist everything that Scizor can throw. So I'm going to shield this up here. The opponent is going to fire off the Hydro Cannon. I'm going to go for one extra Sacred Sword, fire off, one extra double kick, fire off the Sacred Sword here. Sacred Sword is going to be shielded by the opponent, and the opponent allows me to reach another Sacred Sword. So, of course, Sacred Sword grabs the final shield. We're going to swap into Terrakion, basically just force them to use their energy, and the opponent will actually be able to go for a Hydro Cannon here and reach another one. into Cobalion, but that's okay. I can just safely shield this up, and as long as the opponent doesn't catch at the perfect timing, we should be fine. The opponent tries to make the catch there, but I'm able to overfarm 2 back-to-back Sacred Swords. The first one will be enough to take out the Scissor, and they don't have another Hydro Cannon already loaded, so Sacred Sword from this range, easy enough damage to take out for Alligator, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG top on there, into next battle, we see a Licky in the lead. Now, of course, if I was on the double kick for Terrakion here, this would be a very good matchup for us, but unfortunately, they could be on Earthquake. I'm definitely just going to shield, respect the damage. They bait with a Body Slam, which is honestly not great for me because that almost implies that they are running a nuke charge move that would hit for big damage. So we actually swap out into Cobalion, and whilst Earthquake would still hit for super effective damage, it is a lot bulkier, but they actually just go for a Shadow Ball before swapping into a Golurk. So honestly, probably should have just stayed in with Terrakion there. Cool that they weren't on Earthquake, and we would have been fine because I could have aligned my Virizion to the Golurk, but now unfortunately they can get a massive farm down here. Now of course, these Shadow Punches, they're not super effective, but they are going to chunk. And these double kicks, they are double resisted. I have to throw a charge move to get rid of the Golurk, and they've still got 2 shields in play. So this one, I'm going to wait just to make sure the opponent does not swap out and catch this move. Leaf Blade grabs the first shield here, and at this point I realize they are definitely going to double shield this. So we're going to go for Leaf Blade number 2. I also realized that Terrakion will actually be able to get the KO with a Rock Slide from this range, so I'm not too fussed about trying to make a catch here. I realize if I try and catch here, the opponent probably just going to undercharge or go for a Mudslap farm down up against Terrakion, and either way that would not be ideal. So instead we just let it go down there, come in, fire off the Rock Slide gets the KO there, but unfortunately they've got Guzzlord in the back. So honestly, if I just stayed in with Terrakion in that lead matchup, this probably would have been a very comfortable game for me, because of course, if I aligned my Cobalion to the Guzzlord and the Virizion to the Golurk, I should have been fine. But of course, GG's to opponent there. How was I to know that they weren't on Earthquake? I tried to play it safe there, and that just wasn't the case. But into the next battle, we're going to see an Ampharos in the lead. Gonna stay in. They actually fire off the Trailblaze immediately there. I don't know why. I just completely forgot that it only takes 3 Volt Switches to reach a Trailblaze there. So definitely not ideal for me, but we're going to go for the Stone Edge as we see a Skeleturge coming in. So definitely not great for me. I'm going to shield this, and I realize the opponent's still going to be able to reach another charge move before I can reach another Stone Edge. So what we're going to do here, fire off one more double kick, go for the Stone Edge, and if this grabs the final shield, I'm actually going to swap into my Terrakion as they will be stuck in the Incinerate. We're able to just barely reach a Rock Slide. However, Rock Slide is not enough damage to get the KO there. I did not realize that was going to be the case. Unfortunately, now things aren't looking great as we can come in with Virizion, and the opponent is going to fire for charge move. The opponent full sends the Shadow Ball, dealing decent damage there. We're going to have to go for a Leaf Blade straight away as they don't want to take any more Incinerate damage. The opponent comes back in with the Shadow Ampharos, and we should actually be able to tank this if they're on Brutal Swing and Trailblaze, and we do tank that. I overfarm here by 3 double kicks, fire off the Leaf Blade. Leaf Blade is going to get the KO, and they've got Greninja in the back, and if we're able to make a catch here, I should be able to win this game. Leaf Blade does big damage, and we are able to successfully catch onto Cobalion. The opponent goes for Night Sash. We can come in, 2 more double kicks, gets the farm down up against Greninja, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG to opponent there. Into the next battle, we see Cresselia in the lead. So, of course, not great for me. I'm going to swap into my Cobalion here. This is kind of my best answer. So, I'm just going to no-shield this. The reason I swap into Cobalion is because I don't want to swap into Virizion and still have to use a shield in the matchup anyway. So, we come in with Cobalion. We fire off the Stone Edge. Stone Edge really doesn't do much damage, and the opponent eventually swaps into Virizion. Now, depending on their charge moves, if they're on Leaf Blade and Stone Edge, if I'm able to swap out of this matchup before they throw a move here, then this could be good because I can swap back into my own Virizion here and completely wall their energy. Of course, if they're on Sacred Sword, then it doesn't really make a difference here as that still hits for neutral damage, but we're able to grab a shield as the opponent massively overfarms. The opponent is going to go for the Leaf Blade there, so very clearly not on Sacred Sword, otherwise they would throw it. Now we're going to go for another Leaf Blade straight away as the opponent swaps back into Cresselia. So Leaf Blade is going to be no-shielded by the Cresselia. At this point, I do have 2 shields. I might as well start using them. The opponent full sends the Future Sight there. I'm now going to overfarm, go for a Leaf Blade, and then swap into my Cobalion once again. Leaf Blade gonna be no-shielded. We swap into Cobalion and forcing the opponent to throw their energy. The opponent is once again gonna full send the Future Sight, so I don't know what their secondary charge move is. I assume it's probably Grass Knot, but I don't know for sure. We come in with Terrakion and we get the perfect farm down there. That's absolutely huge for me. They come back in with Virizion. We go straight for Sacred Sword, throwing on the CMP tie. Sacred Sword is going to be shielded by the opponent, and I'm going to of course shield this up as well because Leaf Blade would do big damage. They then swap into their final Pokemon, which is a Feraligatr, and I'm able to make a catch here. This is just a Hydro Cannon. Hydro Cannon doesn't get the KO. We're able to reach the Leaf Blade. Leaf Blade will not get the KO either, but it does big damage. Hopefully it puts them into one Smackdown farm down range, but no, they hang on with about 2 HP. They're able to reach a Hydro Cannon, which easily takes out Terrakion, and unfortunately we do lose that game. But GG to the opponent there into the final battle of this video, leading into Walrein. Great lead for us. The opponent safe swaps into Feraligatr, and I'm going to hard punish them with a Virizion. Now, of course, they could be running Ice Beam. I'll be honest, I'm not very used to like running bulky Pokemon, so Virizion actually tanks an Ice Beam pretty comfortably. I shield just in case anyways. We're now going to go for another Leaf Blade, and likewise, Leaf Blade actually will not be enough damage to take out a Feraligatr from that range. So I'm going to double shield, and the opponent does commit to the Ice Beam this time around, so that's okay. The opponent then tries to catch a move onto Venusaur, and that's okay with me. I'm going to bank all of that energy, swap into Cobalion, and of course completely wall them here. They go for Frenzy Plant. Frenzy Plant doesn't do much damage, and I'm going to overfarm here as the opponent reaches another Frenzy Plant. Frenzy Plant is actually going to get us fairly low here, close to the red health range, but that's okay. Stone Edge is going to be no-shielded by the opponent, as they do have no shields in play, and the opponent is going to throw just before we reach Stone Edge number 2, but that's okay. I think Virizion has so much energy here that unless they're able to catch successfully several times, we should be fine. The opponent tries to make the catch there, but I'm able to read that, fire off the Leaf Blade. Leaf Blade doesn't quite get the KO there, but we can go for a huge double kick farm down. They come back in with the Venusaur just to eat a Stone Edge to the face. Stone Edge gets the KO there, and of course one more double kick. We're already at the Leaf Blade, and then I can just safely swap into my Terrakion. Terrakion has a slight energy advantage here, and we will just barely be able to reach a Sacred Sword before they reach the Earthquake, and Sacred Sword takes out with a Walrein, and I'm able to take that game.
So that's going to be it for today's video. If you did enjoy it, please make sure you leave a like, leave a comment letting me know, and as well, don't forget to respond to the question of the day if you haven't done so already. And if you want to see more content like this in the future, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications. That way you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. And if you want to take your support even further, you can now become a channel member with perks including early access to new videos, shoutouts at the end of each video, custom loyalty badges, and custom emojis to use in the comments. I want to say a massive thank you to everyone that has already become a channel member. Your support is greatly appreciated, and with that being said, thank you all so much for watching today's video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.